Sawadee welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. So in the last video, I recreated a viral instant noodle dish that I tried during my trip to Thailand at a place called Deo. It was amazing. You should totally check it out. But while I was at that restaurant, I tried another one of their signature dishes that ended up being one of my favorite things I had in my entire trip. And in fact, it became my favorite salmon dish ever. Not a word of a lie. It's a dish called yam pla salmon sot, which is basically a raw salmon salad. And I'm not kidding you, I looked around the restaurant and just about every table had this dish. And the tables that didn't have it is either allergic or was probably still waiting for it. It was so good. Thankfully, unlike the noodles, it is very simple and super easy to recreate at home. You should try it and you will find out how delicious such a simple thing can be. So this dish is just two things: salmon and dressing. That's it. It's super simple, but as you can imagine, the secret is all in this sauce right here, right? And this sauce is none other than the iconic Thai nam jim seafood or seafood dipping sauce. Thai people do not do seafood without this sauce. I have shown this recipe before many years ago because it's such a classic, but this recipe is different. I've modified it to work specifically with this dish, but you can also use this as your all-purpose nam jim seafood as well. All right, I'm gonna do everything in a blender, but because I'm making a small amount, a full-size jug blender is gonna be kind of overkill. So I am using an immersion blender. You can also use a bullet blender as well. On the written recipe on the website, I will include instructions on how to make this using a mortar and pestle. Okay? All right, I'm gonna start with some garlic. Oops. Some Thai chilies, as many as you want here. What I'm making is gonna make it about medium spicy. Some chopped cilantro with all of the stems, please. Seasonings wise, we've got chopped palm sugar, and you want to chop it finely because we're not going to cook this. It's not really going to have a chance to dissolve. Fish sauce, lime juice, and a little bit of salt. Blend everything together. Oh, and by the way, ingredient amounts and full instructions are going to be on hotthaikitchen.com, and I will link to that below. Start on low so it doesn't splash in your face. Okay, that's it. You don't want this silky smooth, okay? We're not making a smoothie. You do want bits, but what you don't want is chunks. So just so you can see the consistency, I'm going to pour it, and that's sort of how chunky you want things to sort of be. So the reason why I prefer to use a blender for this is because the blender tends to blend the blitz the bits a little more thoroughly, and so the sauce will end up being a little bit more viscous. When you hand pound things, things tend to end up being a little bit larger, so a little bit runnier sauce, which won't cling onto the fish quite as well. There's another reason why I added salt instead of doing all fish sauce, just to reduce the total amount of liquid so it's not quite as runny. One last thing to do, the salmon. Now, I have an advantage here over Thai people because I live in Vancouver, literally the land of salmon. We have salmon in every tourist souvenir shop in this city. But you want sashimi grade salmon, okay? And what you want to do also is, especially if it's been thawing, pat it dry so there's no excess liquid, because any excess liquid's gonna dilute our dressing, and also it'll curdle in the dressing and just kind of looks gross. So you don't want any fish juice in your bowl. Ask me how I know. So this is probably a little bit, not probably, definitely a little bit wide. So I'm gonna half this, use the sharpest knife you've got, and then each slice you want it to be about 1/4 inch thick. Any thicker than that, it won't have enough sauce surrounding it. Any thinner and it'll be overwhelmed by the sauce. So the thickness is important here. And by the way, this knife, my brother Eddie gave it to me as a gift. It was handmade by a blacksmith in Thailand. I'm sorry you can't buy it because he made only one, but I will link his Facebook page in the description anyway, in case he makes more in the future. One last thing to do, garnishes. At the restaurant, they add 3 garnishes, but only one is important in my opinion. First one is raw garlic slices. Not super important, especially if you don't like eating raw garlic. You can leave it out. We have plenty of garlic in the sauce. Lime slices, definitely just for looks, unless you like eating lime with skin on. But what I do think is really important is mint. The mint just freshens the whole thing and it really helps to balance the fattiness of the fish. So I recommend eating the fish with the mint leaf together. All right, now all we have to do is mix the dressing and the salmon together. Make sure you give it a stir because all the bits will float. I'm just salivating looking at that. Now, you want to eat this relatively immediately, if there's such a thing, because there's a lot of lime juice in here and it'll start to cook the fish if you let this go for a long time, and then you'll end up with Thai ceviche. Not a bad thing if it happens. It will still be delicious, but the color and the texture will not be the same. Just FYI, okay? And that's it. You just need lots of dressing to go around. Have a nice plate. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm just salivating looking at this. Arr! And if you want the sauce to look a little bit more full, you can definitely go back and add. There should be plenty of sauce in this recipe for you to play around with the garnishes. Some garlic pieces, some lime slices, and the most important thing, mint leaves, which I grew myself, by the way. Very proud of that. Oh my God, that looks so pretty. Oh, look at that, look at that! Oh my God. Of course, we gotta have a sprig for the top. Ta-da! Look how beautiful that is and how easy that was. I know I just told you to eat this immediately, but I'm gonna go take a photo of this and I will be right back for the tasting. All right. So excited. This is one of those dishes that just the smell alone can get you going. And of course, 1 piece of mint. So good. Extra garlic is really good too. It's just I cannot describe to you. Like after eating this, I'm like, I am done with dipping salmon sashimi in soy sauce. Like this is the way to go. It was like this sauce was made for salmon. It is sour, a little bit of sweet, salty, spicy, fresh, but not too spicy at all. Like it's just there to complement the fish. And I think a little bit of spice, again, balances the fattiness of salmon, which if you don't have anything to balance, like it can feel a little rich after a while when you eat fatty fish. But my God, I'm in love. So anyway, the recipe, as always, will be on hotthaikitchen.com. A special thanks to all of our Patreon members who help support the show. If you want to know what that's all about, how you can get into my private Discord and get bonus recipes, I'll put the link in the description below. I do hope you give this a try if you eat fish. You will love it, I promise you. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time. สวัสดีค่ะ